Hi everyone, my name is Maddie and I'm a current senior at Garrison Forest School. For my independent senior research project, I have decided to do a mini-series called Maddie's Mindsets. In these mini-series, I'm going to be interviewing students and also sharing my own experience about extracurriculars and stress. So without further ado, let's get into the video. For this video, I'm going to be interviewing 3 students from different grades at Garrison Forest School. This is because a senior and a sophomore are going to have very different experiences with extracurriculars and how they deal with stress. Now it's time to hear from our first interviewee.
Everyone, meet Semele. Semele is in the 10th grade and is a member of various clubs, such as BSA, Spectrum, where she'll be ahead next year, Ragged Robins, where she'll be ahead next year. She's also a part of Blue Adante, our dance company. She plays piano through the Applied Music Program, is a member of the DEI Student Advisory Board, and has participated in the Upper School Musical.
The positives of all the extracurriculars that I do is that I get to do many different things in many different fields at once. And I always have fun with that because I'm always learning something new, along with being a leader in a lot of those different clubs or activities. At times it can be stressful, but I also enjoy the leadership skills that I gain.
This is Rachel. Rachel is a member of Ragged Robins and she'll be ahead next year. She participated in the Upper School Musical, and finally she's a goalie for JV lacrosse.
I really like that I've been able to do Raggeds because I've basically been singing my entire life, and it's been really great to just continue doing that because I didn't get to do it as a class this year. So it was, just like as a hobby, it's really fun to be able to do that.
This is Carly. She participates in extracurriculars such as Blue Andante. She's a part of the DEI Student Advisory Board. She is a head of ASA, and she also is a member of Service League. She was a part of the Upper School Play and Musical. She is a head of Green Club, and she also volunteers at the Baltimore Humane Society.
For my service working extracurriculars, I just love getting to meet new people who I probably would not have met if I hadn't been doing what I was doing. So, for example, working at different animal shelters, I've been able to learn how to talk with adults more because it's mostly not a lot of teenagers who are volunteers, it's mostly adults. So I just had to learn to develop my skills of talking to adults. And I've made so many great friends who are a little bit older than me.
My anxiety and
Time.
Very sleep deprived and
overwhelming stress,
anxious, I think.
or when I am leading a lot of projects at once, it can also cause a lot of anxiety or stress.
There was less time to do homework. Luckily, as a senior, my amount of homework had gone down, but it was still very stressful to me because I felt like I was behind.
For the last week of lacrosse, since we kept getting quarantined so much, I had to quit for the last 2 weeks so I can spend more time in the spring musical rehearsals. I just didn't think I would be able to juggle both.
What seems to be a commonality is that the students are not stressed about the extracurricular itself, but they are stressed about the fact that multiple of their extracurriculars overlap and they feel as though they don't have time to dedicate themselves to all of their extracurricular activities.
I feel that the Garrison community does not exert any extra pressures to join any of the extracurriculars. Of course, there are meetings and announcements to join all of the different things going on campus, but there's no external pressure to actually join them, which is actually very helpful because it allows you to really reach out and join what you really want to do or really are interested in doing.
I will say there's a big influence at the beginning of the year to sign up for clubs, definitely. And then just with college and everything from the college counselors, they tell you make sure to have as many extracurriculars as you can, find the ones that you like, and be sure to stick with them for as long as you can because commitment looks good. So there is that kind of pressure, I will say. I feel like sports is huge. Sports is huge everywhere. And there's kind of this, not stigma, but it's just, again, it's kind of like everybody wants you to do a sport or some kind of extracurricular because if you don't, it looks a little strange. I think just in the eyes of like society and then especially colleges because that's what a lot of people focus about in high school these days.
I think definitely with like maybe like resumes and stuff like that, there's a lot of pressure to have like a lot of things and say that you're doing all these different things and you're immersed in all these different clubs and you're like ahead of this club and ahead of that to make yourself look good. And a lot of students here too, when you just like the school day is over and you say, oh, I have nothing to do, a lot of them will look at you like, how do you have nothing to do? Like, I have such a full schedule. So there's definitely a lot more like pressure to have a full schedule and always have something to do, like always be doing something. I set a lot of reminders for myself and I like got a calendar that I have in my room, like a whiteboard calendar where I can change and really important things I put on there. And I make sure like I get everything I need done either before or after then. And I just like I plan my time around, like if like there's a game, a lacrosse game, I plan my time around that. Or if it's tech week, I plan like whatever I need to do around that so that I can make it there on time and be prepared for like the game or for the show.
Oh, I'm not very good with the with dealing with the stress of my extracurriculars. Um, yeah, so far I have not found a good way to deal with all of that stress from all of the extracurriculars that I do.
This relates to stress, but it was mostly a lot of frustration. I'll say definitely during my most recent dance tech week. I felt a lot of frustration and it just felt like I had nowhere really to put it. And all I could do was just tell myself it'll pass. Today, the end of the day is so near. I'm going to go home and just pay attention to myself, be a little selfish, take an extra long shower, listen to the music that makes me happy, spend time with my cat, eat something sweet. And it was just time these days just goes by so quickly. And there's no time really to have pent up anger and stress that you just need to get rid of it as quickly as you can, I will say. So my kind of thing I kept telling myself is like, this will pass. I'm almost done and I can go to sleep soon. Being able to talk out our feelings of how stressed we were and just knowing I'm not alone in this because everybody everywhere is so stressed these days would just make me feel very comforted. So it's just about spending time with friends and doing what I like to forget the stress.
What can we take away from this video and these interviews? Well, one thing I think we should recognize is that extracurriculars have both negative but also positive effects. I think sometimes it's easier for students to focus on the negatives of extracurriculars without realizing what they're getting from it. Something that I can come to the conclusion of at the end of this video is that it is less about the amount of extracurriculars a person is participating in, but more about their coping skills and their coping mechanisms that they use to deal with the added stress of extracurriculars. Something that is a given is that extracurriculars do cause more stress. They take up time outside of school, and that means less time for students to do their homework, but also the extracurricular itself can cause stress, like getting ready for a sports game, like Rachel said, or a dance concert, like Sumley, and things like that. A lot of the time, students do not have healthy coping methods for dealing with stress. This leads to all of the weight piling on their shoulders and all of their extracurriculars and their academics all like compile into one. And that is why in my next video, I'm going to be giving some realistic tips on how to deal with extracurriculars. As someone who's participated in multiple extracurricular activities, I have found some great ways to deal with stress that I believe are both realistic and actually impact the amount of stress the person feels. I want to give a special thank you to Semele, Carly, and Rachel for letting me interview them today and being so open about their lives and their extracurricular activities. Thank you so much for watching my video, and please stay tuned for part 2.